LaShawnda, welcome to the stage. We're so happy to get to know you and get started. Is there anything else you think our audience should know about you before we dive into questions?
I just love people. I love, oh, it is working. I know. I'm just glad to be here. I'm just excited to have a chance to, to share some insights. And I'm just positive, and I just really love equipping people with the tools so they can soar in their career and in their professional lives. I think that we're in a world where so much negativity, is around us at times, and it's good to have strategy and tools to be able to positively move our life forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now, don't forget, y'all, through this upcoming conversation, we would love to hear from you. So if you have questions, please feel free to throw those into the chat. We've got Power to Fly team members standing by that'll grab those for us so that we can hopefully get some of your questions answered today. And don't forget, as we go through the comment section, please feel free to interact with your fellow speakers and attendees and stuff. Just make sure that we lead from a place of kindness and respect. And then last but not least, if you do have questions that you want to ask and keep yourself anonymous, not a problem. Just let the Power to Fly team know that, and we're happy to keep you anonymous. All right, let's kind of dive into the kind of the meat of today's event. What are some ways that leadership teams can become more inclusive and more equitable? I feel like this is not something that's always easy for people to kind of self-evaluate, but if you know that you need to improve, what are some ways that are pretty common that most teams can do?
Well, there actually are a few things that teams can do. One of the things that I think is really overlooked when we're doing hiring is really looking at our hiring process and understanding, is it fair? And really looking at when we're even in our ERG groups, a lot of times we don't think to include our ERG, a representative from ERG into the hiring process. But what it does, it gives the candidate, an inside look, if you would, to have a chance to see someone that may have something where they can relate to, whether it's a belonging of a different group. And so having someone from that panel is so important, but then also understanding, where do our finances go? Are we really given to our DI programs? We know, within the last few years, DEI programs have been strategically cut. And so what can we do from an organization to increase that inclusivity and equitability is to, number one, pour into those DEI programs. And then to make sure that those DEI team leaders have the support that they need. And then there should be someone from their executive leadership team being instrumental and really hands-on into those DEI initiatives, whether it is spearheading some of the DEI ERG group activities, or even just being a vocal point as to, letting the employees know that they're there to support them is so important. And then belonging, we don't hear as much about belonging as we should. Do employees feel that sense of, hey, I belong here? A lot of times when we look at the leadership team, it gives you an idea as an employee how far you can go. And so if there's no one on the leadership team that may be someone you can identify with, it really propels you, and you really can't see yourself as that leader. And as a result, a lot of time employees, they will look for a outside company that has a more scope that kind of looks like them or has some of the same viewpoints, or either whether it's sustainability or social economic. A lot of companies, for example, like when George Floyd happened, they were given to initiatives, and then they were having safe spaces. And so all of those things matter and create an inclusive environment. Do your employees feel seen and heard? Do we have support, whether it's childcare? Does everyone have equal access to maternity leave? So there are several things, but those are just a few strategies that can be utilized to create a more inclusive and equitable culture.
I love this advice because it's stuff that once you start talking about it, it seems kind of like, oh yeah, of course, like natural, yes. But it's okay if this, if you are kind of staring at a blank slate and thinking, how do we make this better? How do we kind of improve this? I think that's wonderful. And like you had said, listening to your employees, ask how they're feeling, but listen not only to the answers, but like how they're being delivered. Are people comfortable sharing or are they not? Are they readily bringing ideas forward, or do you maybe have a situation where people don't have the most psychological safety? What's going on there? And I love your emphasis on equitability, because that's one of the things that, especially within the DEI hiring space, we talk about a lot, because like things being equal or even is not what the goal should be. Things being equitable, where everybody needs help. Not everyone needs the same help, and people should get the help that they need. So I love this highlight here.
Thank you.
All right. So one of the goals, or one of the goals of many people, is to increase representation of African Americans in corporate leadership and business. Now, as obviously these what we want to see, we're not seeing yet, but we're all hopeful for that. In our waiting time, how important do you think this visibility is? Do you think that it has impact on success and profitability of companies? Like what should people know about the benefits of hopefully seeing this increased presence of people who look like you, people who have your background, people who normally or traditionally have not risen through the echelons? What kind of impact does that have on the business?
Oh my gosh. So there was a survey done by Favorite Places to Work, and they talked about how 3 times people that have a sense of belonging, they are 3 times more likely to look forward to coming to work. How many of us have had a career or position that we literally hated? We sat in the car an extra 5 or 10 minutes, to hype ourselves up, to go into the office because you didn't feel like you belong. But employees that have that sense of belonging support, they are 3 times more likely to be excited about coming to work. And then they're more likely to come and participate in initiatives to make the workplace fun. And then also, there's a survey that said people who have a sense of belonging in their organization, they are 9 times more likely to agree that everyone is treated fairly. It's because they are seeing that. And so when we think about investments, from venture capitalists, even with stakeholders or even clients and customers want to give and purchase from an employer or company that values everyone. So how do you treat this demographic or this group? Are you looking out for everyone that may have accessibility? So we want to give to those, especially with the sustainability initiative. And so if you look at stocks, for example, or mutual funds, the companies that really give into sustainability and creating that economic and give back, they have higher rates when it comes to investors. They have more individuals given to their funds, and they also have happier employees. There was a survey also that was completed by Forbes, and the survey actually said that companies that have that culture, that environment, I won't use the word culture, that have that environment, whereas you see that diversity and leadership, they're more productive. But also what it also does, it increases profits because now you're able to reach a different community or customer base. And so let's think about it. And when we're looking at reaching the world, the kind words, there are zillion people, millions of people in the world. Do you really want to just focus on one demographic or either one group, or do you really want to have a wider customer base? And so by having that inclusivity and having an equitable leadership team and even diversity within it, you're able to reach different mindsets, different beliefs, and even become more innovative. If you look at AI, AI right now is really just taking over when it comes to being inventive with tools, how we process, how we read emails, even doing social media. It's because individuals who are different, who don't think the same, have come together for a common goal. And so from a leadership team perspective, when we're looking at how do we encourage, even with cooperation within our corporations, if people see themselves in their leadership team, again, they are more likely to want to contribute, join ERG groups, they want to do community events such as 5Ks. They want to do Habitat for Humanity, again, because there's that social sustainability that says, I care about you. You matter, not just because you're helping our company be profitable, but I care about your mental wellness. So I'm going to offer wellness hour. I'm going to give you access to a coach to help you with anything you may, whether it's personal or professional. And so again, really just having, that diversity within the leadership team is so astronomical because we have a whole world out there, and together we really can make an impact. And by having that representation in leadership, what it does, it gives those individuals that come from underserved communities a chance to see something they've never seen before. And so in return, what it does, it encourages the younger generation to pursue that. And it also breaks the generational poverty cycle that a lot of people tend to follow because they don't have access of seeing someone in that type of role. So I know it was a long, drawn out answer, but I'm so positive, I'm so positive and just excited just to talk about that because we don't talk about it enough of how it's not even about having someone that looks like you. It's different mindset. How someone can build a bridge out of straw and someone from another community can build it out of mud, but it still is a bridge nonetheless. Yeah. So
Yes. I love all of this so much because you're right. It kind of highlights the fact that businesses need people that don't look like the status quo in that room. You don't solve problems that you've been trying to solve by throwing the same people at it, by doing the exact same thing you've always done. And so I love how, we can tie this into a business case for sure. Now, one of the things that we talk about is wanting to see more like visibility of Black people, brown people, BIPOC in these management roles in, through the C-suite and beyond. And there's a lot of people that want to see this, but, you kind of hear from a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't make the change alone. I'm not the person with the hiring choices, blah, 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 which is true. What role do you think sponsors, mentors, or allies can play in increasing diversity within leadership roles? Even if you're not in a leadership role, how important or what kind of impact do you think these people could have?
mentors, sponsors, and allies really play an astronomical role. I had a mentor when I first got in one of my careers. I was new I was a new person on the block. And I didn't really understand my role. I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't have that sense of belonging that I just spoke about. And she saw something in me. She said, you know what? You're really smart. She said, I want to help you because we were meeting during the time. We had orientation and I kind of talked about my background. And she said, I don't think this is going to be a good role for you. And so she was telling me, she said, because you're so outgoing and anytime you love data, you're also a people person. She said, have you thought about XYZ? And she actually mentored me by showing me what it would be like in this role and what I needed to do. And so mentors are really there as trusted advisors. They're someone that has been in that role before, but a lot of time they give you advice on your career, which is what she did. And she helped me to map out a trajectory as to where I could go. Now, allies, a lot of times they're someone that they're really there to advocate for you and they help you support your goals. So I like to call them the liaison. They're the access to where you're trying to go. And a lot of times, an ally doesn't have to look like you. They don't have to really be in the same group. It could be someone that really has access to teams or knowledge and resources that can help propel you forward. And so what they do, they'll review your work, they'll help you out, but they'll also speak your name in rooms that you're not in. And they'll help you, again, to navigate any challenges. And they can also help you to bring about change within organizations, such as creating ERG groups or creating a safe space or community forums, because you may be new to the team and may not have that exposure or connectivity, but they do. And so sponsors are what I like to call, they like to really go to the bat for you. A lot of time a sponsor, again, they're not in your role, but they have connections. They have a vast network. They could be a VP. They're usually someone that is levels above you, but they can also be external as well. But their goal is to help you to grow your career and to also advocate for you and give you the necessary connections so that you also can soar. And so a lot of times we hear so much talk about mentors and we hear so much talk about sponsors, and so they're related, but they are definitely different. A mentor, again, more so they're there to advocate for you, and to give you advice, and they've been where you're at. A sponsor is really someone that's higher than you, and so they're there to open doors and advocate for you. And we can find that a lot of times you hear people say, how do I find a sponsor? How do I find a mentor? And so within your organization, have you been to a town hall? Have you joined your ERG group? A lot of times they're within your ERG groups. They're sitting next to you. And sometimes they're in the meeting with you. And so paying attention to who you're in the rooms with, or even someone that seems to be the remarkable things in your career, reach it out and say, hi, I'm looking for a mentor, or tell me about how you got to XYZ. I would love to know about your journey. And then share your goals with them as to what you would like to get from that relationship. And so, if you can also find it through a mentor sponsor through external communities like I Fund Women, DWIN, which is Dale's Women Entrepreneur Network. They are free. And so there are so many ways to get a mentor or a sponsor. You just have to know where to look. So.
All right. One thing before we go on, I want to talk about that hot take. Okay. That hot tip about your mentors, your sponsors being the people who are going to talk about you when you're not in the room. This is what we mean when we say building a personal brand, right? It's that's what it is what people say about you when you're not there. And I think that is wonderful. I call it the grab a white guy rule, because truly, like, you look at the people that have the perceived power in these various situations, and every space that I've ever been in prior to Power to Fly was dominated by white dudes. And so you kind of have to make your ally and be like, hey, I hope you're not one of the bears that's probably going to kill me, but like, will you come in, kind of lend me some of your credibility and your social capital here? And I think that is hugely important and really a good thing to highlight about the fact that, like, we're not going to get to where we want to be if only the women are working on this, or only Black people are working on this. We need allies. We need other people in the room. So yeah, like, do that. Get your buddy, make friends with somebody who has that social capital and utilize it. Truly. Like, I use my husband for this constantly. Like, this, it's the kind of thing you have to do. And I also heard it sold the other day about, like, hey, you want to be an ally? I know that this is a cause that you align yourself with. I have some needs. Can you help me with this? It would be a very good show of allyship. Like, throw out the carrot, y'all. Dangle that carrot.
It is so true. I tell people, you miss the opportunities you do not go for. How many times have you wanted to apply for that role, but we miss them because we don't take a chance to introduce ourselves, and then not being afraid to reach out and work with someone that doesn't look like you. A lot of times there's a fear, I'm on this level and they're a senior executive. You don't know, there are so many senior leaders that are looking for opportunity to mentor. They're looking for opportunities to give back. And so you could be their chance to give back, but you never know if you never reach out. And so I'm so glad that you brought up about sometimes, they don't look like you. And it is true. My mentor did not look like me. She did not look like me at all, but she saw something in me and she challenged me and she helped me to grow my career. So that's one of the things I do now. I work with others who may not have that voice, and I connect them with the people to help them to grow their career. Then I partner as an ally as well when needed, because sometimes companies don't have a mentoring program or even a sponsoring program. And so externally, you have to know where to look to find those communities that can help you to grow. So.
Love that. We did get one question from the audience. This person wanted to know, could you talk about some of the major reasons that people might not feel like they belong in a company or in a team, and some of the ways that they might cope with that?
Yes. And so there are several ways you can feel like you do not belong. Some of the reasons are because, let's say that you have a team meeting and no one sits beside you. Am I the only person that has been to a meeting and, you have that empty space beside you, maybe or one or two sides, you're looking around and everyone else has people talking to them, but no one's talking to you. Or, you're the new person. No one has came up to introduce themselves. You don't feel like you belong. And so it impacts, your confidence and how you do your job. It could be as something as simple as there's a team outing. I know, I'm going to give a personal example. A company I used to work with, they had a corporate picture. I wasn't invited. Everybody had a red t-shirt but me. Everybody took the company picture but me. And I didn't feel like I belonged. And it hurt my confidence. And it made me feel like I did not belong. And so a lot of times you have to really be honest about, what those feelings come from. And then to say, is this really happening? And for me, it was happening. I ended up going to a better company that valued diversity and equity and inclusion. the company I was in, I was the only African American in the leadership team. And I was treated as such. And so what it did, it impacted the people who were on the call center. It impacted like the customer service rep because they couldn't see them stuff moving up because how I was treated. And so when you feel that sense of belonging, you want to contribute, you want to give in, you're invited to the luncheon, you're invited to participate in projects, you're invited to give your and voice your ideas. And you can actually say that there are holidays or observances that cater to everyone and not just a general group. Even a good example could be an all gender restroom. And so there are so many ways that we can look at how can we create a sense of belonging within our organization. So, and some ways too, from a leadership, how we can do that. And I spoke on that is the gender neutral restrooms, making sure that we actually pay attention to the pronoun and then respect those pronouns that people want to be, that people want to be utilized. A lot of times people want to say, I'm not going to do that, but we're in a world where everyone matters. And so to have that sense of inclusivity, we have to really be respectful and then educate yourself on what can I do to create an environment where people feel supported. And from a leadership perspective, that comes down to having a town hall, having a meeting, even doing an external survey, have someone externally come in and survey your team members, and then to take that feedback and make the necessary adjustments. It's not enough to just do the survey. You want to implement and then take action on what is being said so that you can reduce your turnover, you can have higher engagement, and then also have increased retention. So
louder for the people in the back. Ask the questions, listen to the answers, and then do something with that information. 3-step process. Seems very difficult, not that hard, but yes, like, the people who need to hear this are not close enough to be shouted at about it. All right, we got about 5 minutes left in this session. I know we have not gotten to even half the questions I wanted to ask you. These have been fabulous. Let's see. Are there any resources or programs available for BIPOC to grow their business and achieve financial success? So let's talk about this. What do those opportunities or resources look like?
So for African Americans or for BIPOC, so some are the Microsoft Black Partner Initiative. I'm actually a member. So Microsoft has a program for African Americans, and what it does, it gives you access to their commercial clients. You can grow your business. You can create an app or software, and it's free. And so another one is DWIN. I mentioned that before. It stands for Dale Women's Entrepreneurship Network. And so within that, there's a chapter for African American founders where you get to network and collaborate and even find tools to grow your business. Money Geek is another tool. And so what they do, they have solutions for African Americans, and they also have advice on how to decrease the racial wealth gap. And then the Chamber of Commerce, a lot of times we don't think about the chamber, but if you sign up on a U.S. Chamber of Commerce website, they have tons of events and programs where they offer about solutions and certifications and even grants to help you to fund and grow your business. And then also, real quick, there's another one called the SCORE Office, and then there's the National Minority Supply Diversity Program. They have free events, and they also give you certifications that you have to qualify for, but it gives you a chance to grow your business on a wider commercial base. So those are just a few.
Oh my goodness, these resources are fabulous. I cannot wait to see, to jot those down. I'll probably be reviewing this and grabbing links too. So thank you so much for sharing those. All right, let's see. We probably got time for one more question. What can employees do to maintain wellness while they're building their careers? This is a big one. Either if you are feeling like you're kind of languishing, or if you have a long road that you have, mapped out ahead of you, what should people be thinking about when it comes to like mental wellness, maintaining, themselves while pursuing their career?
Prioritizing self-care. This is the first thing you should do. Your self-care is so important, whether it's exercising, meditation, getting enough sleep, taking your lunch. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has skipped a lunch because I was working so hard, or not going to the restroom, not eating and drinking because I was so busy focused on trying to meet my goals. You have to prioritize your self-care, then set healthy boundaries. It is okay to not accept last minute meetings. If they cannot schedule, so I have a rule: if it's not on my schedule, it didn't happen. It's not going to happen. Every meeting with me has to be scheduled, when it's related to my work life. And so set those boundaries as to what you will and will not accept, and then sticking to those. No more overworking, no more stretching yourself thin, making sure you get proper nutrition. Seek mental health support when you need it. If you need a therapist, you need time off, just talk to a coach. Make sure that, again, you take that prioritization and do that. And then also social connections, about building relationships. Get to meet someone. Go to coffee hour. Go to happy hour when you're off work. And then making sure that you prioritize what's important to you. So that looks like going to your little one's softball game, making sure that you have time to go to the gym and work out, making sure that you're able to not have burnout because you're working so hard. And one of my favorite things is mindfulness and yoga. Yoga does so much to your body with cleansing your mind and your body. And then also meditation. Meditation allows you to get clear on your thoughts. So those are just a few. And I want to add this: sometimes our organizations have wellness programs where you can actually receive a benefit financially from going to the gym, for walking around or exercising. And so look into your corporation and see if your company offers that wellness benefit, so you can have that wellness while you're working and growing your career.
Oh my gosh, y'all, every second of this session has been gems, like just gold. Thank you. Thank you so much, LaShawnda. We are out of time, but before we go, if people only take one thing from today's session with you, what do you want it to be?
Your life matters. Your life matters. Make time for you, do what's important to you, and never settle for safe. Go forward, go after that thing that scares you, and go with your whole heart. You got this.
I love it. Thank you so much, LaShawnda. I hope we get to do this again very soon.
Me too.
All
Thank
right,
you.
y'all.